After I recently just got torched on social media, where I came out and basically said how screwed up I think it is that parents will spend money on hitting lessons for months and months and years on end, yet their kid can't do a push-up or a pull-up. And a lot of the comments read something like this: my daughter can't do a push-up or pull-up and they lead their team in hitting. Mechanics before power. Or my 175-pound 12-year-old hits bombs and she can't do a pull-up. Worst take ever. Or stupid take. What do push-ups have to do with hitting? So obviously, I struck a nerve by getting comments like that. So if you have a son or daughter who can't do a push-up or a pull-up, I had 3 things I wanted to share with you that I really do believe you need to hear, especially if you side with those comments. First, I found it very interesting that 99% of the hate I got was from girl parents and not boy parents. And personally, I find it sad that girl parents don't value building strength in their daughters nearly as much as boy parents do. Personally, I have 5 kids, 3 girls and 2 boys, and they could all do real push-ups by the age of 6, not those fake girl ones that are on your knees that don't count. And while I get it, if your kid can't do push-ups because of a body weight issue, I can totally understand and be sensitive to that. I think the vast majority of kids could be trained to do a push-up in 60 days if their parents simply made it a priority. But they don't, so their kids can't, so they get butthurt. Which brings us to the second objection I'm getting, where folks say, what the heck do push-ups have to do with hitting anyways? Mechanics are more important than power, aren't they? Well, yes and no. According to this article on PubMed, correct push-up form is one of about 7 different movement categories that if a kid does not learn how to perform those movement patterns correctly before puberty, they will never reach their full neuromuscular strength potential. Never. And that's just not me saying that, right? That's go Google it, right? Go Google how young is too young to start training and find the article. It's published on PubMed's website and you can see it for yourself. This is researchers telling you this stuff, not me. And what that article goes on to say is that it turns out that what we are doing when we actually train push-ups and pull-ups and all the other movements that athletes need to master is not so much about the strength training, but it's about mastering the quality of movement patterns. And when you master those 7 different movement patterns, and you can do them correctly, it helps athletes learn how to control their bodies better, which makes them better able to take the stuff they learn in a hitting lesson and apply it because they're better movers. Sure, there are those 1 in 100 kids, it seems, who are born with ridiculously high levels of body control already, but for the other, literally 99%, they are going to suffer if they don't spend time working on moving better outside of a hitting lesson. It's just the way it is. Because if a kid comes in and can't squat correctly, can't flex their scaps correctly, and is weak in their core, doesn't have the upper body strength to maintain good positions as they rotate, they will struggle more with getting into good mechanical hitting positions than a kid who has mastered those movements, isn't weak, and has spent time getting stronger. And maybe you think your kid's moving fine without that stuff, and they may be by your standards, but I bet if I saw them, they wouldn't be by mine, and I almost guarantee you it could be better, at least in 99 out of 100 cases. And then the last point I want to make is if your kid can't do push-ups or pull-ups, here are 3 exercises that I started adding into my kids' lives that help them build up the ability to do push-ups, pull-ups, and squats that anyone could add to the end of a training routine if you don't already have one. First one is negative push-ups. So negative push-ups are for kids who aren't yet strong enough to be able to do a real push-up and who lack the strength deep in the push-up movement to get their bodies back up off the floor. To do these, you take 2 dumbbells and you ask your kid to lower their bodies for 4 seconds to the ground. Then once you get to the ground, they can use their knees to get back up to the top. That way they're strengthening their bodies in the whole motion. Once they can do 10 of those, I make it harder by asking them to do it on a bar that rolls. It's a little bit unstable, like this one, and eventually a band that shakes and it makes it even harder. And I do 3 sets of 10 with each of these and progress the difficulty level as the kids start to get stronger. And by the end of it, they're probably gonna be able to do push-ups. For pull-ups, I like 2 options. The first is above the bar holds. Well, you help your kid get their chin above the bar in the starting position, then have them hold it for as long as they can, working on holding it longer and longer every day, strengthening the position in that top movement. Or band-assisted pull-ups. And these are great because you can start with really heavy bands and switch to lighter bands as the kids get stronger, eventually phasing out the bands completely when your kid gets strong enough to do a pull-up. So this is for sure the hardest of all the exercises for kids to do, a pull-up. But with work, you can get your kids there. But even if they don't get there right away, the extra strength that this helps provide to their hitting and throwing is going to be like really noticeable. And then lastly, so we get the legs involved, I really like dumbbell split squats for kids. Hitting is a motion that is done almost entirely on one leg. We load on one leg, we stride on one leg, and then when our front foot lands, it stomps into the ground as our rear leg gets pulled forward off of the ground. Almost all of hitting is done on one leg. So I find that training single leg stability and strength has a huge transfer to young kids and their hitting. So it's one that I absolutely love adding in there as well. So those are my top 3 youth exercises that we recommend for kids that help them improve their hitting, and to do these after they train in each of their hitting sessions. And if you're interested in learning more about training youth baseball and softball players to be more functionally strong, we actually give away a free copy of our youth strength training course to athletes who sign up for our free swing assessment service that you can learn more about by clicking the link in my bio or by checking out the description section under this video.